The courtroom was filled with an uneasy silence as the young defendant walked in, her steps echoing on the polished floor. At first glance, one might mistake her confidence for courage, but as the proceedings began, it became clear that her attitude was rooted not in strength, but in arrogance. She leaned back in her chair, smirking as the charges were read aloud, as if the entire process were nothing more than a boring lecture she was forced to attend. While most defendants approached the bench with humility, this one met the judge's eyes with sarcasm and disrespect. Each question asked was met with a careless shrug, each warning with a mocking smile. When asked to clarify her actions, she scoffed and muttered under her breath, "This is ridiculous, a complete waste of time." The words, though softly spoken, carried across the room, igniting a wave of whispers among the spectators. Everyone knew what she didn't. Disrespecting a judge was like striking a match inside a room full of fuel. It was only a matter of time before the fire consumed her. The judge, however, did not explode in anger. Instead, he watched her carefully, his calm demeanor making the tension in the room even sharper. Years of experience had taught him the difference between youthful ignorance and deliberate mockery, and he recognized that this defendant had crossed the line into open contempt. His eyes narrowed slightly, his gavel resting firmly in his hand, ready to bring down order if needed. The courtroom waited, breath held, for his response, but he allowed her rope to unravel a little longer. He wanted her to believe that her words and gestures carried no consequence, so that when the hammer finally fell, it would strike with maximum weight. As the hearing progressed, her sarcasm only deepened. When a witness spoke against her, she rolled her eyes dramatically, muttering comments meant to belittle the testimony. When the prosecutor presented evidence, she laughed softly, shaking her head, as though the facts of the case were nothing more than a joke. To her, the courtroom was a stage, the trial a performance, and her arrogance the star of the show. But while she saw herself as clever, everyone else saw the reality, an individual trapped in her own pride, blind to the seriousness of her situation. Finally, the moment of reckoning arrived. The judge leaned forward, his voice calm but sharp as a blade. "This is a court of law," he said, his words echoing against the walls. "Not your personal stage for sarcasm. Every word you speak, every action you display, is being recorded and weighed. If you believe this is a game, let me assure you, justice is not here to entertain you. One more careless remark, and you will not only face your current charges, but also the full weight of contempt of court." The silence that followed was deafening. The spectators stared at the defendant, waiting for her next move. But this time there was no smile, no sarcastic laugh, no roll of the eyes. For the first time, she looked unsettled, shifting uncomfortably in her seat as the reality of her situation sank in. The transformation was instant and powerful. The smirk that had been her shield disappeared, replaced by a stiff, nervous expression. Her arrogance drained away like water spilling from a broken glass, leaving behind nothing but the heavy weight of consequence. She realized too late that her behavior had only made her situation worse, that every sarcastic word had pulled her deeper into the quicksand of judgment. The judge, without raising his voice, had stripped away her confidence and replaced it with silence. It was not anger that humbled her, but authority, and in that moment she, and everyone watching, understood a truth that could not be ignored. The courtroom, once filled with tension, now carried a lesson in every corner. In this place, respect is not optional, it is demanded. Sarcasm may win laughs in casual settings, but inside the walls of justice, it wins only humiliation. The gavel may look small, but in the hands of the law, it carries the weight of discipline and order. And that day, the young defendant learned the lesson the hard way, that arrogance might give you a voice, but respect is what gives you a chance to be heard.